Hey everyone, Brick City Brown Chick here. And for my short this week, I want to talk about a case from 30 years ago, which is about to be back in the news in a big way. And it is the case of Susan Smith. Susan Smith is a South Carolina woman who was sentenced to life for killing her two sons, Michael and Alex Smith. The children were 18 months and 3 years old at the time she killed them, and she did it by drowning them in a lake in South Carolina. She put her car in gear, let the car roll into the lake. The two boys were in their car seats, so they could not escape, and they drowned. Now, that is the part of the case that everyone focuses on, is the fact that she killed her children and tried to convince the world that she had nothing to do with it. The part of the case that I focus on that has always bothered me is the fact that she blamed a non existent black man and said that he carjacked her and stole her car and her children. And that was the story she told for several days. This caused a lot of racial tension and the flare up of old racial issues in South Carolina, in one of the deep red southern states, whose part of which still thinks slavery wasn't so bad, quote unquote. So this caused a huge uproar, especially in the black community. According to the sheriff at the time and the prosecuting attorney, they allegedly never really believed her story about being carjacked. But of course, that was the story that was put out in the community. A mugshot based on her description was released to the public, and everybody in that area was looking for this mysterious black man who hijacked a poor woman and her two children and stole the car and her children. The reason this case has always really bothered me is because it showed how easily Americans are willing to believe white women over anyone else. She lied. She clearly lied. She didn't even use an actual person, which thank God for that, but she made up this whole story that people were so willing to believe. And it turned out to be a complete and total lie. And as I look back on that 30 years later, there's a lot of talk now about white women weaponizing their tears against not only black men, but black women and people of color in general. That the police and the media are still really quick to believe what a white woman says, even though there is other evidence. There can be videotape, there can be recordings, it does not matter. American society is always quick to believe white women over over the rest of us. And that is a lasting reality of the Susan Smith case. And that's a part of the case that not a lot of people talk about. Everybody's focused on what she did to her children. And I understand that. But from my perspective, I've always found the lie she was willing to tell about what happened to her children the most disturbing thing about that case. Most people do not think she will be paroled. Her ex-husband, who was the father of these children, is very adamant that she not be released. She has not been the best prisoner in prison over the last 30 years, but we'll see in the coming weeks whether she is released or not. So that is my 2 cents on the Susan Smith case. Everybody have a good week, and I will see you during this week's episode. Take care.